The Time Ponies and the Cutie Mark Thief vs. the Queen of Hearts. Written and read by My Name is R. Chapter 10. The Tree of Harmony. Destiny. Prophecies. Are they set in stone, or can they be changed? What happens if some pony is destined for greatness, and then the path is pulled out from under them? Will they always find their way anyway, or has their destiny been threatened? Neither answer is without concern. If destiny is constant, no matter what comes, then what of free will? If it is mutable, then many of the things we take for granted on the grand scale are not as stable as we think. In the heart of the Everfree, a blizzard raged. This blizzard was but one of many, as the Wendigos did not face the same troubles from the Everfree as the Changelings did, but there were two things about this particular blizzard that made it rather special. It was right over the castle of the two sisters, and it had been raging off and on for the last several months. Sometimes snowing, sometimes calm, but never clear. Normally, in uninhabited areas, a storm might form, but it would quickly dissipate, or migrate over wide stretches of land. But this storm was acting almost as though the castle was occupied. It's so bad that no pony wants to venture into the territory. The Changelings sent a few patrols in during the early stages of the invasion of the Everfree, but after they figured out it was too tough for even our camp, they abandoned further exploration. Fluttershy finished up her presentation, as they all peered over a wide chasm coated in snow. On the far side was a castle in a terrible state of disrepair, and also full of snow, coated in frost, and it probably would have had snow on the roof if it had had a roof. Yeah, scary as the Changelings are, not even they are scarier than having to live in a window nest, Pinky chirped. Window? Asked Starlight. You know, Wendigo. Window. And that doesn't get confusing? Minuet giggled. Well, I haven't seen any other windows in this forest to confuse them with. Anyway, can every pony see that indentation in the rocks? Starlight asked, receiving a chorus of assent. That's the entrance to a cave, and inside is the Tree of Harmony. That's where we'll find the elements. I don't think we'll have any serious problems getting there, but watch your step. Ice is very slippery, after all. As they all started down the narrow rock staircase, Driver saw that Minuet seemed hesitant, so he waited and joined her at the end of the line. Is something wrong? Minuet turned to him, but her gaze was unclear. Have you ever had a thought dance just outside your grasp? Like, you know something's wrong, but you can't place your hoof on what? No. Is that what's got you worried? A vague feeling of oncoming doom? Not that kind of wrong. More like we're forgetting something. Just then, Minuet's hoof fell on a patch of ice, and she slipped, falling over the 40-foot drop. Ah! She panicked, closing her eyes and flailing her hooves, only to hit something softer than she was expecting. Do you mind? It's easier to catch you if you don't hit me. Minuet opened her eyes to see that Driver had caught her mane in his teeth, leaving her leaning over the drop. Oops, sorry. He pulled her back onto the path. Sure, he tugged her hair hard enough to hurt, but it was far better than the alternative. Are you all right? Some pony called from up ahead. I'm fine, just slipped. Everything's good here. She turned back to Driver and added in a quieter voice, Thank you. Maybe you should focus more on the path and less on worrying about the future. If it's important, then I'm sure you'll remember eventually. Yeah, Minuet agreed, staring over the cliff. I'll do that. There were no more issues as they descended, and after a minute or two, they had all reached the cave. Minuet looked at the dark green vines with spikes on them all over the inner half of the cave, every single one frozen in ice. Many were sitting on the tree. Starry? Are there supposed to be all those black vines? They look evil. Hey, I recognize these, called Sandstorm. They attacked Ponyville last summer sun celebration. She tapped one of the frozen vines. Not so tough in there, are you? That's good to know, but does any pony else see the elements? Asked Starlight, walking behind the tree. It looks like these 5 depressions are where 5 of the elements go, but if so, they're gone now. That's what we were missing, shouted Minuet. Pinky told me about this. She looked over at Pinky. Not you, the Pinky from my world. She told me that she and her friends found the elements in the castle right above us. Then last summer they had to put the elements back in the tree to heal it. Well then, that's where we need to go, said Pinky. To the castle! I can't help but feel that we should do something about these vines while they are docile, said Perfect Timing. Does any pony object to trying to break the ice? Wouldn't that release the vines? Asked Derpy. Vines should shatter at these temperatures, but I don't know about these since they're magical. So, who thinks we should try to break them, and who wants to leave them here? I vote we break them now, so they won't fall, or if we get rid of the Wendigos, said Fluttershy. Me too, added Derpy with a raise of her hoof. When we get rid of the Wendigos, said Minuet. I'm sure that between all of us we can gather the elements lickety-split, and they always save the day. I suggest we leave them for now, in case they merely revive when we shatter their icy shells, said Emerald, though it looks as though I'll be sorely outvoted. Is any pony else opposed to shattering the ice? After a moment of silence, Starlight spoke up. Alright, let's start with one by the edge, and every pony be ready in case it fights back. They all got into position around the furthest vine from the tree. Derpy, would you smash the vine whenever you're ready? Derpy nodded, stepped forward, spun around, and bucked the frozen ice. It shattered, vine and ice alike, falling down, shattering, and spraying the gathered ponies. Brrr, that's really cold, muttered Minuet. Well, it is ice, silly, answered Pinky. Alright, let's get smashing, said Sandstorm, walking over to another vine and starting to smash it. While she worked on her vine, Fluttershy went to another one and started bucking it. The others joined in ones and twos until every pony was breaking the vines. Sandstorm was on her 3rd vine, going rather slowly as she had neither the magic of a unicorn nor great strength as earth ponies do, but she was steadfast in her resolution. She was slowly chipping off pieces of ice from the vine. Then, in the instant Driver shattered the second-to-last vine, Sandstorm's vine broke free of its icy prison, showering her in frozen shards and drawing a gasp of pain. Starlight raised a shield to protect herself, along with Emerald, Perfect Timing, and Minuet. Driver was across the tree from Sandstorm and the vine, so he was unaffected. Fluttershy flew back to a safe distance. Derpy simply braced against the icy burst, having pulled her cloak over her head and wings before they entered the valley, and Pinky dodged every shard that came her way, ending closer to the vine than before it broke. "Cover me!" shouted Derpy as she galloped straight for Sandstorm, where she had fallen only a few feet from the vine. Pinky appeared behind the vine and stabbed it with her spear, causing it to lash out at her, but she was too quick for it, pulling back and diving under the thrashing vine. "Can't catch me, slowpoke!" she taunted, galloping off. While Pinky was keeping the vine distracted, Derpy reached Sandstorm, picked her up, and rushed to the unicorns, who had been cautiously advancing. Derpy set Sandstorm down by the others and reported, "One woke up, and I don't know what we can do. Sandstorm was hit pretty bad when the ice broke." Then she galloped off to rejoin Pinky. "Hey," called Emerald. "Ice worked before. Maybe it'll work again. Can any of you do frost spells?" Starlight was already circling around the tree by the time Emerald finished her second sentence. She didn't know any frost spells, but she did know something that should be close enough. When she caught sight of the vine, it appeared to be playing whack-a-pony with Pinkie, Derpy, and Fluttershy in a rough triangle, each darting in to stab it any time it was too busy with the others. All the while, Driver was shouting at it and occasionally bucking a rock at it. Starlight trotted briskly around until she had a clear shot to the vine past Fluttershy. Then she fired a ray of light turquoise magic at the base of the monster. In an instant, the plant was encased in a giant translucent purple crystal. I should be able to hold this for several minutes, but when it breaks, anything inside is unharmed. Does any pony have an idea? I do, answered Sandstorm. You're okay! Shouted Derpy and Minuet at the same time. Well, I wasn't about to let some overgrown weed kee, Sandstorm said, before Derpy's hug caused her to squeal. Derpy backed up. What went wrong? I'm still a bit sore, but we're getting off topic. I suggest we dig it out. Does your spell extend underground? Sandstorm asked Starlight. No, that's a great plan. Driver, Derpy, and Pinkie stepped up and began digging around the vine. After they reached the vine, Derpy and Pinkie perforated it with their spears and slowly managed to cut it completely in two. All right, miss, said Driver, as all three backed away. I think we're ready. Starlight released her hold on the spell binding the vine, allowing it to fade. For a moment, the vine thrashed, but it quickly grew still. Pinkie walked up and prodded it with her spear, but it remained motionless. With that taken care of, Starlight turned her attention to Sandstorm. The mare was being looked over by Perfect Timing and Fluttershy. When Starlight started to approach, Perfect walked over to meet her halfway. Sandstorm will make a full recovery. That's the good news, said Perfect, before Starlight could ask. The bad news is that she won't be flying for a few days, but she'll be fine to walk. I don't think she should enter the castle, though. If she were to fall on her wing, it probably wouldn't cause further harm, but I see no need to risk it. She clapped her hooves. Oh, I know. We could have her and Emerald stand watch at the entrance. Do I want to know why I shouldn't be climbing the decrepit castle with the rest of our intrepid explorers? Perfect slowly looked over her shoulder at the annoyed bookkeeper. Well, I thought it would be best if the lookouts had a unicorn to send a flare if quick warning was more important than remaining undetected. I want to explore the temple, though. Temple? Asked Starlight. Emerald blushed, though it quickly faded in the frigid air. Just a daring-do reference. This whole adventure feels like one of my stories. I know it's a bit silly, but, well, when is the next time I'll have an opportunity like this? Hey, if it means all that to you, I'll wait outside with Sandstorm, offered Perfect. Oh, thank you. No problem. I was never a big fan of that style of story anyway. I'm more into science fiction. Not mystery? Emerald asked. Neen, that's Inky's style, and I don't mind it now and again, but it's not my favorite. I just assumed, since it's your job. What? You're a police officer. You solve mysteries and fight crime. Perfect Timing stared at Emerald. She opened her mouth and shut it again. Then she thought for a moment. Okay, do you know Hemlock Stones? Emerald nodded. Who would you say I play the role of? Watson, with Inky as Hemlock. Perfect nodded. There are a few problems with that. First of all, Ponyville doesn't have nearly enough mysteries like that. Secondly, Inky loves solving mysteries and is fairly good at it, while I am both less capable and less interested. So she normally just does any detective work alone while I run the office. Anytime she calls me, it's to act as muscle, or because a solo stakeout is boring, or because she's in a hurry and needs another pair of hooves. I'm not Watson, I'm the Shetland Guard, and they aren't exactly portrayed favorably. Well, they might not be shown as super great, but they do work with Hemlock better than if they were trying to compete with him, said Pinkie. Then Emerald and Perfect noticed that every pony was watching them. Perfect cleared her throat. I think we're ready to head to the castle. Any objections? Hearing no objections, and some amusement over her and Emerald's conversation, she started for the cave entrance. The others all followed, and when they left the cave, they saw the storm clouds dissipating. Derpy repositioned her armor, so her wings were free. "A brave band of friends has together vanquished a hidden evil," said Emerald, as they all looked at the swiftly clearing sky. "Wendigos shall not soon menace these grounds again." "Really?" asked Driver. "What? I can wax poetic sometimes. It's one of the perks of my job." "Yeah, what good adventure story doesn't have metaphorical imagery?" added Pinky. "I meant running a bookstore, but you're right. Adventurers should also be able to wax poetic anytime it fits." Minuet tapped her chin. "I wonder, were the Wendigos so strong here because of the history of the castle? Or the vines? Or both?" "What makes you think the castle has a history the Wendigos would like?" asked Fluttershy. "This is the castle the royal sisters shared before their fight." "Who are they?" asked Pinky. "Okay, every pony, story time. Gather round." As I was wrapping up... author's note. As I was wrapping up the fight with the Chaos Vines, I realized that I had slipped into Third Pony Omniscient instead of my usual Third Pony Limited. I also tend to do that right at the beginning/ending of a point of view. Or does occasionally showing something they wouldn't see mean I'm always doing Third Pony Omniscient? Maybe technically, but the practical effect is that I go back and forth between the two narrative styles. I think it works. I kept wanting to use words like premonition for driver, but he is carriage driver. Bad mind, find a more common word for him. Just because that's what I would say doesn't make it the right thing for the character. Also, I thought Sandstorm was a stallion for some reason. Nope, they are a mare. Fortunately, this doesn't change anything I had planned, and I hadn't specified in any of their earlier appearances. Originally, I had this in the story, but I felt it messed with immersion and pacing. I still felt it was interesting, though, so here it is. Science can be defined as the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical world through observation and experimentation. It thrives when you repeat an experiment several times and consistently receive the same results. When they broke the first vine, they didn't know what would happen because of the highly magical nature of the vines. But while magic can most certainly alter the natural way of the world, it still has its rules and can be scientifically analyzed like anything else. A fact that is surprisingly obscure among rural Pegasi and Earth ponies. However, there is such a thing as wild magic, a term given to any magic that operates under different rules than we are familiar with. This is a fairly rare phenomenon, though many species on our planet have different ways of using magic, most of them follow the same underlying rules. However, the Everfree Forest is a haven for such magics, and unbeknownst to our intrepid heroes, these vines were an example of the forest's unusual nature. While such wild magic might one day be fully understood through scientific means, a fact that is still up for debate, at this point it has an unfortunate habit of dashing expectations. All this is a rather roundabout way of saying things were about to go pear-shaped. It was the last vine, as such things do oft appear as firsts and lasts. Sandstorm was on her third vine, going rather slowly as she had neither the magic of a unicorn nor great strength as earth ponies do, but steadfast in her resolution. She had slowly been breaking off pieces of ice from the vine, a fact which by itself should have been a warning sign. And this part of the author's note predates the change. Discovery requires experimentation. Dr. Werner Reinhardt, from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, Extra Time is not secretly a Nazi. The description of science just reminded me of him. Besides, every pony knows that the pony Nazis are generally unicorns. Earth ponies would never judge based on your race, or try to prevent you from practicing your magic. It took me until I had penned the Nazi unicorn sentence and was looking back over it to see the irony. Even funnier, in this story, only the Earth ponies have shown hints of racism to my knowledge. I feel bad that I almost said a racial slur against Earth ponies, and just a tiny bit odd that I even know such a word. End of the author's note. I would like to point out that I wrote all this stuff down before I had seen the recent Next Generation movie, which features the record holder best Nazi pony, or rather Hitler pony. He stole that title very squarely from Sombra. I don't know particularly why Sombra was the choice before him, but I do know he was. And Sprout blew him out of the water at just best Nazi Hitler pony ever. He's a shoo-in for it. Including in the silly ways. Like, he's actually very incompetent at a lot of things. Anyway, I hope you appreciated this chapter. I hope to see you again later. Have a good time, everyone. Bye!